Hello. Welcome to the Women in Boston Walking Tour. Our tour highlights the stories of strong women who defeated the odds of societal norms to be outstanding in their fields. We feature women from all different backgrounds and careers, women in science, the arts, activism, and politics. These women lived and worked in Boston, using the city to their advantage. The creators of this tour will now give a brief overview of the locations you will be visiting throughout the tour. Through these locations, we see the resilience of the people who lived and worked in them. We hope you enjoy the Women in Boston Walking Tour.
I will first speak about the iconic literary figure that is Louisa May Alcott. She is most famous for her timeless classic Little Women, which has never been out of print since. In her private life, she was an avid suffragist and abolitionist. In fact, she was the first woman to cast a vote in Concord, Massachusetts. Not only was she a suffragist, but she also actively participated in the abolitionist movement. She was a nurse during the Civil War. The next famous abolitionist is Julia Ward Howe, a woman who is best known for authoring a Civil War era song, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Howe helped to found the New England Suffrage Association in 1868. Her troubles, though, lay in her husband's dislike of public activism, and she was deeply unhappy in her marriage. Her career only truly started to flourish with his death, as she was able to take back her agency and continue her public activism. Another important figure is Anne Whitney. She was a famous sculptor whose art and activism were never separated. Her lifetime she dedicated to painting famous abolitionists and suffragists and other significant historical figures. She was one time banned from sculpting abolitionist Charles Sumner because it was immodest for a woman. Her response? She sculpted a piece that now stands in front of Harvard Law School. She also participated in a Boston marriage, a unique phenomenon for upper-class women to enter into long-term relationships.
Hello. My name is Gigi Barnett, and I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. Now a student in Boston, I am learning a lot about its rich history, specifically the history of the prominent women who graced the world with their talents in educating and helping others succeed. On the tour, you will see three incredible buildings that may look dull on the outside, but on the inside, the women of Boston worked endlessly as dedicated artists, students, and hopeful workers in the city. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum is a treasure from the mind of Isabella Stewart Gardner herself. She dedicated her life to purchasing outstanding works of art so that the people of Boston can experience art with their minds and their hearts. The tour will also take a stop at the Young Women's Christian Association building, also known as the YWCA, to remember the group of women who were passionate about helping young, eager girls find work and become the next generation of powerful women in the world. The tour will also stop at the old location of the Portia Law School, the first law school exclusively for women. This school is now known as New England Law Boston, but its roots in teaching women to become strong lawyers will forever be known.
Okay, so these are my sites for the tour. So first up, we have the Amy Beach House. She is a very prolific woman in the arts. She was one of the first American female composers with a lot of well-known pieces. She lived on Commonwealth Avenue in Boston with her husband, but after she died, she toured the world, but she also leased out the property and was able to use it to make revenue, which was unheard of for a woman at the time. Next, we have the Elizabeth Peabody Bookshop, which is the former workplace of the first female publisher in Massachusetts, Elizabeth Peabody. She used her bookshop to spread ideas of transcendentalism, rubbing shoulders with authors such as Horace Mann and Nathaniel Hawthorne, which are actually both her brother-in-laws. She published their work for them and was able to kind of spread the American classics through her bookshop. She was also an educator. She opened up one of the first English language kindergartens in the United States and spread a lot of ideas about female education. Last, there is the Boston Women's Memorial, which commemorates three really exemplary women, Abigail Adams, Lucy Stone, and Phyllis Wheatley. Abigail Adams was the former First Lady of the United States. She was very involved in her husband's politics, often encouraging him to include women in his activism. Lucy Stone was one of the first women to receive a college degree in Massachusetts. She was an abolitionist and activist after her graduation. Phyllis Wheatley was a prolific African-American poet, one of the first African-American poets to be published, and she was also extremely educated for the time. These women were able to kind of transcend barriers and make new lives for themselves and have prolific careers.
Hi everyone, I'm Zikang from China. My first slide is Elizabeth Peabody's kindergarten. Every time when people talk about the benefits the American K-12 educational system brings to our children, we should always remember the K stands for kindergarten, which was primarily created and promoted by a woman named Elizabeth Palmer Peabody, the leader of the American kindergarten system movement. My next slide is the Women's Educational and Industrial Union. The WEIU passionately aimed at protecting and improving the life quality of women and children in the industrial Boston. In the late 19th century, during industrial capitalism, Boston witnessed poor public health conditions, violations of workers' rights, and the exploitation of women and children. In response, Dr. Clisby established the WEIU in 1877 to save the women and children at risk. My last location is the New England Chinese Women Association. Founded in 1942, this association was established during World War II. It is mainly responsible for representing and defending women's rights, promoting gender equality, and safeguarding children's rights. Meantime, it also helps women mobilize themselves, develop leadership skills, and find a certain degree of independence.
Hi, my name's Eli. For my first location, I decided to cover the New England Female Medical College, now part of Boston University. It was the first school that was opened with the intention of training women in the field of medicine in the world. It was founded by Elizabeth Blackwell, who was the first woman to receive a medical degree in the United States at the time. And one of its most notable graduates, Rebecca Lee Crumpler, became the first African-American woman to receive a medical degree after graduating from the school in 1864. For my second location, I will cover the Bunker Hill Monument, and more generally, the life of Sarah Josepha Hale. She was the original author of several nursery rhymes, including the famous Mary Had a Little Lamb. She eventually became known as the Mother of Thanksgiving after essentially single-handedly convincing Abraham Lincoln to declare it a national holiday, and she raised tens of thousands of dollars for the Bunker Hill Monument in Charlestown, Boston, Massachusetts, amongst other things. And finally, I will be covering the New England Hospital for Women and Children. It was founded in 1862 to provide women seeking a medical degree with hands-on experience. The first general nursing school in the United States was also founded within its walls, and believe it or not, it also housed early developments in playgrounds and playground design and equipment, including the now ubiquitous sandbox.